I'm very, when I first moved to Milford, several people were telling me, you got to meet Denny. You got to meet Denny. She's a minister. She's so great. You got to meet Denny. She ministers to ministers, and I'd see her in the distance at the ship-in, and Karen would point you out to me. And then eventually we met, and it was wonderful. And she was everything that they said she was. A lovely human being, very spiritual, and just a lot of life experience and love. And what I didn't know was that she was a design expert, that she was on Philadelphia TV for 5 years, weekly, hosting a show about how design and your environment can change your life. And she is a minister. She ministers to ministers. And she is here with us today, and I am so pleased and so grateful and so honored to have her here today. And she's sitting right next to me, so it's even better. So I'm going to turn it over now to Denny, and we're just so honored to have you here with us.
Thank you so much. What a lovely introduction. Thank you. And it's a joy to be here. And it's interesting because design really is my big vocation of life, although my ministry has become very important. And I have learned so much. When you're working with people in their homes, you learn. You just learn. You really do.
Excuse me, Carmela, she's on mute, so we're hearing her through your microphone and it's not very loud.
Okay.
Okay, then hold on.
Okay, sorry to interrupt.
I have to turn the sound on. The sound is off.
Oh, okay.
You got it. That's good.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Good?
Yep, thank you.
Okay, great. Well, I'm going to first tell you that I went to Drexel, what was in Drexel Institute of Technology in Philadelphia. And I went there to be a designer. My mother had been a designer, and I was excited about design and very, very happy that I was going there. And it was a wonderful time. And when I graduated, I was ready. I was going to decorate everybody's home. I was going to make the world gorgeous. But something happened in the process. And it was very interesting, I'll tell you, because I decided to first start by teaching. And in doing that, I had an adult evening school form a class. And it was a wonderful story because at first I found people were falling asleep. And of course, what does that do to the teacher? But what I realized was that everybody was more interested in doing their home rather than listening to how to design. So I went to the superintendent and I said, we've got to change the focus of the class. And he said, what do you want? And I said, I want us to go into the homes. And he said, won't work. People will be too afraid to have people come into their homes. And I thought that was crazy, but what did I know? But I said, offer it one time. If we don't get enough participants, I'll go back to some other direction. So he said, okay, so he listed it. We ended up with a waiting list. Everybody wanted people in their home to help them decorate. So I was very excited about that and got ready to work with people about creating home. And one thing that was fascinating to me that began to happen was I would say to somebody in the class, so what do you love? And maybe it was the person's home that we were in, and the person would answer me and say, oh, I don't know what I should do. I want you to tell me what I should do. And I'd say, what do you love? I don't care. I want what's in. And I was so appalled by that. I was dumbstruck by it because it seemed to me that for somebody not to know what they loved and to want me to tell them what they should love was way, way wrong. So that really became a big part of my vocation. I wrote this book. Some of you may have had read it. It's What Color Is Your Slipcover? And it was published by Rodale. And I put no pictures in it, except the one that just fell out. This is what happens when you don't pay attention. So anyway, this is the book I wrote. There is not a picture. There's some sketches, but the whole idea was I was not showing anybody what they should have. I wanted them to get in touch with what they loved. And I finally decided that was one of the most important things of my work, to get somebody connected to what gave them a buzz, to what made them comfortable, to what made them happy. And believe me, it differs for everybody. And so that really was my focus. And it was really funny because sometimes I'd arrive at a home and I was going to be the designer, and it was the first visit. And I remember specifically one time I walked in and the couple said, "We're not going to say anything. We want you to tell us what we should do." And I thought, here it is again. And I said, "I have no idea what you should do. I will be happy to hear what your inner landscape is, what your joys are, where you go with your life, what you focus on. And then I can tell you more of what we should put around you so that you're happy in your home." And I can't tell you how far that went into my heart. And it really became my focus for all of my work. I wrote many books. I held workshops forever. I was writing all the time. And people were loving the work. And I would finally get notes from people who would say, "Oh, thank you for helping us with our home. We never want to go out. We love our home." And I knew I was getting closer to someone's heart, that I was more in touch with what they had told me or what they really needed and wanted. And the interesting thing was, it actually even began to save marriages. And I'll tell you how that happened. I had a couple come to me, and the woman told me that they were just at each other's throat. There was a grand piano that had been inherited on his side of the family, and he wanted it in the home. And she felt it was taking up too much space, and on and on and on. So I decided to go back to this same idea and have them cut out pictures. He cut out his pile of pictures. She cut out her pile of pictures. Then I had them go through and switch piles. So now he had to pick from her pile what he liked, and she had to pick from his pile what he liked. I can't tell you the difference that made, because they actually ended up with a common pile that was tall, and they thought they were really on either sides of the world. And it showed them that they had a lot in common. And of course they did. They'd fallen in love and decided to marry. So that even began to save marriages. I was fascinated at how much this way of approaching design at the heart of the person was changing their lives and making them, resolving so many issues. And then I actually, this is funny, I actually had someone read that part of the book and call me and said, "This is a way for groups to deal. The garden club wants to go on a trip, and somebody wants to go here and somebody else wants to go there. Give them a pile of pictures and then pick the place that's closest to the common choice." It worked like a dream. Couples were deciding where they were to take trips that way. Clubs were deciding what their specific programs were going to be. It all was coming from the heart. It was all people getting in touch with what they love, not what they should love, not what was in. They were connecting with who they were and what they loved, and they were honoring that before anything else. And I realized it was so huge. I couldn't believe how this had come to me. But of course, then you begin to trust that this is really, it's come up and it was moving me because it really was my work to get people more in touch with what they love. And that's our job now, you know, at Unity, to decide what we love. Do we love that little house so much that, you know, we have 43 members that are voting. We have 20 approximately attending weekly. Our monthly expenses are $7,600 and our love offerings are $4,300 approximately. So we've got some work to do on deciding what we love and who we are and how we want to be. Or would it be better to be just a church in the box, you know, and have a box of sacred things that we carry to wherever we rent space to worship? And maybe that wouldn't work. Maybe instead what we really love is being grounded in one specific place. So we've got some work to do, and it's very sacred work. And what you need to do is realize that everybody has a goal in coming to Unity. And that helps us also respect all goals, because people will bring their goal to their process. And I love the idea of everybody doing a vision board that shows, you know, Carmela what she sees as unity and me what I see as unity, and might be very different. But if we all did some vision boards, and when we have that grand meeting together, we look at all our vision boards and we begin to decide what would work for the majority, and what's a sacred idea that comes out of some other person that, you know, just been thinking about it. And it gives us a chance to make unity, our unity, be what we want it to be. I'm going to tell you a fast story on myself. After one of my classes one day, I was in Doylestown and I was driving along and I slammed on the brakes because in this building, there were great big windows with great big cardboard boxes in the windows. And they said joy, love, fellowship, community. And I was stunned because it was a very stunning look at that. And I wondered what it was. And I looked over and I saw that it was a church, and I was very fascinated. So that weekend, you talk about synchronicity, that weekend, that church was featured in Philadelphia Bulletin. And I said, oh my gosh, that's the church I looked at. And I said to the family, let's go and see if we like it. We not only liked it, we were there for 30 years. But you see, I was drawn by the bright colors, the words they used, and it served our family. Because of course, in our family, we were all sort of thinking alike. So anyway, there's so many ways to look at this issue, and so many exciting ways to get to know each other and really decide where we're going, what we want. Would we like to be moving around different places, or do we want to be really grounded in one place? And, you know, there's certain realities with that too, because one thing maybe you can afford, another thing you can't, or whatever. It gives us a chance to really do this, getting to know each other, and therefore forming a wonderful community, and community that's based on knowing each other. And certainly then it gives us more power to do what we want to do as a church. So that's my whole bent on this. I feel so strongly about it, and I think it would be fun. And I'm hoping that in what I have said, encouraged each one of you to be who you are and to let us know what you see, because you may come up with an idea or a word or a thought that is different than everybody else and everybody loves it. So it gives us a chance to get to know each other, hear what's important to each other, and think about just who we are and where we want to go. You know, it's so interesting because you can pick up a book on church buildings and you can see things from huge cathedrals, the tall windows and stained glass windows and many things. And then you also can see the small house that is also a church. So I just invite everybody to really get in touch with what they love and also what they would love to see in their church, and give us all a chance to hear that. And however you want to do it, maybe you just want to list words that give an idea. Maybe you just want to have pictures or a vision board. But think of some way that you can communicate to us. And that even is a great challenge, isn't it? To communicate what you love and what you're dreaming of. And it really will give us a chance to know who we are, who each other is, and to think on it, to decide what church really, no, you don't want to just go to church, CHURCH. You know, at least that's not where I am. And instead, create a place where there is huge community possibilities, ways of deciding direction and making a dent in society or making a statement. So I hope I am reaching you in some way to express your heart to us and to have some fun with it and to get to know yourself better, because a lot of times we don't even think of doing this. And I can't tell you how many times I would put students through this exercise and they'd say, I can't believe what I came up with. I don't think I even knew who I was. So it's, you know, look at it that way or have some fun with it. And I hope I've inspired you to do that also. It'll be fun to hear who each other is. It will be fun for you to find out what you want. And I invite you even to do a list of words if pictures don't find their way to you. So I would open this up to questions if anybody would want to ask a question.
Denny, thank you very much. This is Alan Remdy. Hi.
Hi, Alan.
Hi. Can you describe for us neophytes what is a little more specific, the nitty gritty of what a vision board is and how we go about doing that?
Sure. Now you're making me wish I had brought mine because mine's done. But what I did was I took a piece of cardboard and I cut a lot of pictures out of magazines. And, you know, it was children on swings. It was parents and children playing together. It was a lot of different age groups. It was, in other words, it was anything I could think of that I hoped would be in a church that I would be, or in a community where I would be. And it opens up your mind to look for things, because as you go through a magazine, you're going to see things that didn't occur to you, like maybe people eating around a table. And you'll think, oh, yeah, I want more community, more of us all being together for different things. Whatever it is that inspires you, Alan. But what I would invite is good old magazines, and they can be any kind of magazine, and that they just illustrate a form of community that resonates with you. And just make Scotch tape loops in the back of the pictures and put them on the board. And then we'll ask you to bring it to the community meeting, and we'll all take a look at it and, you know, be ready to answer questions about what inspired you about a picture, so that we really can communicate about it. And as I say, it can be that it's going to bring something up to you that you didn't even think of. Certainly right now, in our periodicals, there is a lot of illustration of things you might hope for change, and that could be part of it too. And you could actually write on a picture, change, not this, but the opposite, or, however your imagination captures your way to communicate with us. And the more communication that happens at that meeting, the more we'll know what we have in front of us or what everybody is really hoping for. And as I say, just for your knowledge, there are 43 voting members at Unity. There are 20 approximately attending weekly, $7,600 monthly expenses, and $4,300 in love offerings.
And the love offerings that's inflated. It's less than that.
Oh, okay. Carmela is saying the love offerings are actually, it is an inflated number. So, but that, that's what we have that now is represented in our Unity Church. And explore it in terms of a personal way right now. That's what we're looking for. Come out of your heart. And then we'll definitely, of course, have to do processes of elimination, ways of communicating what it is we mean, but that's all good stuff. Alan, did I answer your question?
You did very nicely, and I guess you can also do little sketches. You could get
Absolutely.
something off
Absolutely.
the internet and print it. You could do it from any source, right? And
That's right. Could be a cartoon.
yeah, it could be anything, right?
Absolutely.
And
Animals.
when are we meeting for sharing all this? And are we meeting virtually or meeting in real person?
Next Sunday is the community meeting.
Next Sunday is the community meeting. And
Okay.
where are we meeting?
It's
Oh,
virtual.
so it is virtual. So, be as good as you can in communication with your visual.
Right.
And certainly
We'll talk about it.
we'll
more.
talk about it,
More next Sunday.
more. And
Thank you very much.
bring your own creativity to it. You may have a way of communicating it that, could be a map or it could be a graphic,
Right. It'd be in lots of different ways.
It
Right.
could be lots of different things. So, just think about it. Get inventive with how to communicate to us what you hope Unity is going to be. And I think this is so important. It really is. It will decide direction because we are really at a point of decision.
Yeah.
And the more people, the more of our group who is represented in our decision, the better.
Okay.
So let's work on it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to do a meditation.
Yes, let's do that.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Carmela just asked me, do we want to do a meditation? And, hopefully, as I've talked to you, this has opened up that place in you that can just close your eyes and imagine what you want. Are you sitting in a cathedral with stained glass windows, or are you sitting out under a tree? Where are you? What are you doing? Who are you with? What are you thinking about? What are you hoping is present that extends your feeling of worship? All of these things. So just close your eyes for a moment and we'll have a meditation where you're exploring you for the first time in this way in terms of your church community. And as we come out of the meditation, may we be open to this process. May we be inspired. May we even have ideas come into our mind from spirit that we have forgotten about, that we want. May all those things come to us, even as you're driving along in the car. Maybe even be inspired, and maybe even have a piece of paper beside you where you jot down, not in traffic, but you jot down some of the ideas that have come to you. Give this chance to really be creative for our church, for our own well-being, and for us as a community. Amen. Good.
Thank you, Denny. That was wonderful, wonderful. And we
Thank you.
will speak more about this next week at the community meeting, which is immediately following the service. We'll have a short break in between, maybe 5 minutes. But thank you. That was really beautiful. And
you.
it's amazing when I did that during the meditation, all I saw was light. I saw trees and light.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, lots of light. So thank you.